I've been wondering for years what happens when conservatives actually watch real news. Why are conservatives so afraid of everything all the time and they can't see why? So I decided to do some research on what happens when conservatives watch real news. Why do conservatives think crime is everywhere? Why do conservatives think that before Trump that the country was collapsing? Why do they think that immigrants are invading and that our cities are burning and that no one is safe? Because the data says the opposite. Violent crimes has been declining for decades. The economy has recovered since 2008 and since the 2020 pandemic. The world is not ending. But if you watch Fox News, you probably think the world is ending. There's a psychological reason for that. Here are the 3 reasons conservatives who watch right-wing media are so afraid of everything. 1. Why heavy viewers think the world is on fire. In 1968, communications professor George Gerbner at the University of Pennsylvania launched a research project that would run for decades. It was called the Cultural Indicators Project. He tracked more than 3,000 television programs and studied how violence was portrayed across all of the shows. He then tracked what happened to people who watched a large amount of television over a long period of time. What he found changed everything we know about media. Heavy television viewers, people who watched more than 3 hours a day, were significantly more likely to believe the world is dangerous. They overestimated their chance of being a victim of crime. They believed most people could not be trusted. He called this phenomenon mean world syndrome. The television wasn't just showing them a scary world. It was building a scary world inside their head. The more they watched, the more afraid they became. Not because the world had changed, but because their perception of the world had changed. Gerbner warned us that whoever tells the stories of a culture controls the human behavior of that culture. The people who used to be in control of culture was the parent, the school, the church, the community. Now it's a handful of corporations with nothing to tell people, but a lot of things to sell people. Fox News didn't create the effect, but it absolutely weaponized it. People are watching Fox News 8 hours a day sometimes, and getting fear directly delivered to them about caravans and crime waves and chaos sweeping the world. 8 hours a day, a message is telling them the world is falling apart. Fox News stopped being news a long time ago, and it became manipulation. And after years of this far-right propaganda, the viewer doesn't just believe the world is dangerous. They feel the world is dangerous in their bones. And you can't convince them otherwise. 2. Why Trump supporters can't hear anything else. In 1961, psychiatrist Robert Lifton published a book called Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism. He spent years interviewing American prisoners of war and Chinese citizens who had been subjected to Chinese communist brainwashing. What he found was a system that was designed with very specific steps to reshape what a person believes. He identified the 8 criteria of thought reform, or in other words, brainwashing. Lifton called the first step milieu control. It's the absolute control of information and communication within a person's environment. You don't just tell someone what to think. You control what media the person has access to. You build a wall between them and any information that contradicts the narrative. You isolate them from outside sources until the only reality they know is the one you've constructed for them. That's what Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and Truth Social do. They create a circular reference echo chamber. Fox News doesn't just give its viewers a conservative perspective on the news. It gives conservatives different news entirely. Different facts, different stories, different threats. It builds an information environment so sealed away from reality that anything real from the outside world sounds foreign to the viewers. Not just wrong, but completely unrecognizable. Lifton found that once milieu control is in place, the person stops questioning anything anymore. They stop thinking entirely. Not because they've been absolutely convinced about it, but because they've been cut off from anything that would make them question information in the first place. It doesn't help that these people are lazy thinkers. They've never been truly taught to critically think, so they don't. This is not just media bias. This is a manipulation of people using propaganda techniques of Chinese communist brainwashing in the United States against American people. Let that sink in. This is the first step of thought reform, operating at a massive scale on millions of people. And most of them have no idea it's happening because the wall was built between them and reality so slowly they never even saw it coming. And we're all suffering for it now. How is this legal? 3. What happens when you force conservatives to watch real news? Researchers at UC Berkeley and Yale decided to find out, and what they found was wild. Political scientists David Brookman and Joshua Kalla recruited 763 hardcore Fox News viewers. These people were overwhelmingly white guys. Their average age was about 54 years old. The researchers paid these guys $15 an hour to watch CNN instead of Fox News for 1 hour a day, during primetime viewing for an entire month. They even gave these guys weekly quizzes to make sure they were actually paying attention. Here's what happened. They didn't become liberals, but after 1 month of real news, they started to change their views. They became more likely to believe voting by mail was secure, less likely to believe Democrats were stealing the election, less likely to believe Biden wanted to defund the police. They stopped thinking the world was such a dangerous place and that everyone was out to get them. And they became more critical of Donald Trump overall. That's all it took to start breaking through decades of propaganda. So what does Fox News actually do to your brain? It doesn't inform you, it isolates you. It builds a wall between you and reality so thick that facts can't get through. You're not watching news. You're watching a machine designed to keep you afraid, angry, and loyal. And here's the part that'll break your heart. 2 months after the study ended, most participants went back to Fox News, and every single change they experienced reversed. The fear came back, the lies came back, the loyalty came back, like it never even happened. That's not media bias. That's a propaganda machine so powerful that 1 month of reality wasn't enough to break it completely. And millions of Americans are inside the propaganda machine right now. And they're wondering why the world feels so dangerous again. 3 different researchers, 3 different decades, and they all found the same thing. Right-wing media is brainwashing millions of Americans. Heavy media consumption builds a false reality inside the viewer's mind. A world that feels more dangerous than it actually is. We learn that controlling information is the first step in controlling what a person believes. Cut them off from outside sources, and they will accept whatever reality you build for them. And the 3rd study proved that watching real news broke through the wall of propaganda. The viewers of CNN changed their minds on things in 30 days or less. And then they went back, and everything reversed. That's not just getting your news from a different news source. This is a machine that builds fear, seals these people into an echo chamber with no exits, and feeds their viewers a version of reality that keeps them afraid, angry, and loyal. They keep on coming back for more. And right now, millions of Americans are sitting inside that machine, 40 hours a week, binge-watching rage, fear, and chaos. The dumbest people in America are hurting regular people in America because they are too stupid to see it. Because the truth is too hard for them to deal with. So they choose the comfortable lie over the hard truth. And they don't care who it hurts, as long as it doesn't affect them.